Ho ho ho. Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Stephanie Chase, and today I am reviewing AEW Dynamite's Holiday Bash, which was headlined by Hayter versus Hikaru Shida for the AEW Women's Championship. Now, we've got a bit of a different setting today. As you can see, that is because I am home in Belfast for the holidays. But don't worry, as always, I'll be giving you my hot takes on the show, as well as telling you what I was the biggest fan of this week. But before we get into all that, make sure you give me a follow on Twitter and TikTok and Instagram, all at Stephanie and Chase, and check out my Patreon and OnlyFans to support this show, both of which are linked below. And of course, make sure you are subscribed to this channel. Yes, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications to be the first to know when I drop a new video. Next week, I will be dropping a video all about my 2022, going to see every single AEW pay-per-view. I'm currently editing it. Right now, it's like Avatar length. It might as well have been directed by James Cameron, but I'm going to get there, and that will be up for you after Christmas and before the new year. But on to tonight's show, and we opened up with Ricky Starks, who was coming off his loss from MJF last week. But how awesome to see that Ricky, who had built himself up so well over the past couple of weeks, wasn't forgotten about after his loss. He was the first person we saw on the show tonight. So Ricky cut a promo about his disappointment over the loss, but promising he would work himself back to another title shot. But he was then interrupted by the JAS. Yes, Judas hit just like I wanted it to, because I was really hoping after Jericho mentioned Starks last week in passing, see kids, you really got to pay attention, that would be his next feud, and it looks like it's going to be. So yes, Ricky was interrupted by Chris Jericho, Daniel Garcia, and Sammy Guevara of the JAS. So Jericho said he'd been watching Ricky Starks for a long time, and he is a future world champion someday, but not yet. And then he's offered Ricky a place in the JAS to learn under his guidance. But Ricky was having absolutely none of it, and then proceeded to cut a promo on Jericho where he said that he looked like a single dad on his 5th divorce. So Ricky was able to get some really good singers in here that Jericho sold really well. He also called him a vampire, which I thought was interesting because Jericho was out here in this awesome long black leather coat, very Spike from Buffy. So if they're going to call you a vampire, why not dress like the best vampire of them all? And he really sold Starks's insults well to really help even further build up Ricky. Ricky went on to say that the J in JAS stands for jobbers because of Jericho's loss to Action Andretti last week. He then challenged Jericho to a match on January 4th. Starks was then beaten up by Jake Hager, who jumped him from behind, but out came Action Andretti to make the save. So not only did we get great follow-up on Starks after his loss last week, but we also got to immediately see Action Andretti on the show after his huge win over Jericho last week. So this is some really great booking that we're being told that we're not forgetting about these people, that these people are now really part of Dynamite and really, really matter. Next, it was the 5th match in the best of 7 series between the Elite and Death Triangle. This was a no disqualification match. All weapons were allowed, but make it festive. We had a Christmas tree used here. We even had some tinsel used by Pac with the brutalizer. This was a really good match. It was really fun. It was really exciting. There were lots of great spots, and they incorporated, you know, the fact that it's a festive bash in it. I really, really enjoyed it. The finish came when Matt and Nick hit the Meltzer driver off the top onto Phoenix, but post-match we saw Pac and Penta brutally attacking Nick Jackson with the hammer until Phoenix stopped them. This was really weird because this beatdown was happening and Excalibur was like frantically trying to move to the next segment. So I don't know if that was on purpose or a bit of miscommunication, but yeah, really great match. Another, you know, I've been saying that they've been trying to make all these matches unique. I'm still not sure that they are succeeding in that as much as they maybe think they are, but I think it was good to bring in the no disqualification stipulation here, and I don't mind a bit of Christmassy themed for the Holiday Bash. We then had Tony Schiavone interviewing Action Andretti backstage. He cut a pretty good promo for a guy that's never cut a promo on national television before. He did previously cut one on Dark, but he was interrupted by Daddy Magic and Cool Hand Angelo Parker from the JAS, who told him that he was on a great hot streak, like he's on fire. And with that, Andretti turned around and was hit by the wizard Chris Jericho with a fireball. Jericho then stood over him and like rubbed his face into the ground. This is probably the best fireball spot that they've done. I thought it looked really, really cool and looked really, you know, realistic. And the good thing about these fireball spots from Jericho is once they got over, like he didn't overuse them. So it was quite the surprise to see him use it last night. We then had, I thought kind of a weird segment. Bryan Danielson was being interviewed in ring by Renee Paquette, and he started talking about how much William Regal, who is, you know, technically no longer with AEW, coming back to WWE, meant to him, and that's why he took things harder than the rest of Blackpool Combat Club. Like he's more willing to forgive Regal because he was like a father figure to him. He then called out MJF, but no, instead Ethan Page came out. They had a little bit of a back and forth where Ethan Page called Bryan Danielson a vegetable, but not because of him being a vegan vegetarian, because he was going to make him into a vegetable. And this ended with Ethan Page challenging Bryan Danielson to a match next week. I will say, as clunky as I thought this segment was in places, it is good to see more of Ethan Page. He's a guy that there's kind of always been a bit of a stop-start on him, but I think it's been more consistent the past couple of weeks that Ethan Page is getting a bit of a push. MJF was also seen looking on. We then had a really quick match where Hook just squashed Exodus Prime. This was just good to see Hook because he's someone I do feel that they dropped the ball with a bit. It looks like he's aligned with Jungle Boy now, as they showed Jungle Boy being attacked and then Hook went backstage to make the save. And I think the combo of Hook and Jungle Boy is a much better decision than the combo of Hook and Danhausen that we saw before. But the cool thing about this was, as soon as it ended, we were straight into the next match. Jon Moxley's music hit. It was Jon Moxley versus Darius Martin. This is a pretty quick match. Darius did get some offense in, but at the end of the day, it was just showing Moxley being just brutal and wanting to run through people, because he had previously in the show cut actually a very good promo about why should he really care that he knocked out Hangman Page? Yeah, they were in a fight and knocked you out, and he shouldn't take the blame from that. So I thought it was some good development there in the Moxley character, who's really good at straddling that face heel dynamic. We then had the Gun Club in probably the biggest upset on the show, defeating FTR. Now, I thought this was a very good match, not one of FTR's best, but the bar is so high for them. But I think the most interesting thing is that FTR lost. They are just coming off the loss from the Briscoes. They're also just coming off losing to the Acclaimed. They're no longer Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions. And I think by the next time we see them on Dynamite, they're going to have lost those AAA and IWGP Tag Team title belts as well. So FTR on a bit of a losing streak. I don't really know what this means. Dax has said that he thinks their contracts are up in April. I don't know if this is the beginning of the end for FTR and AEW, which wouldn't surprise me, but would make me really sad, or if this is a way to get to show that they're on a downturn, they lose the other belts, and then they eventually win the AEW Tag Team Championship. We then had a music video from Jeff Jarrett, Sanjay Dutt, Satnam Singh, and Jay Lethal. Less said about this, the better. Then we had our bizarre segment of the week. So we have Rick Ross, the boss. He invites Keith Lee to the ring. This is going to be a confrontation between Lee and Swerve, but moderated by Rick Ross. He then asks Swerve to come out. There's this long, awkward break of no music and Swerve not coming out, during which Rick Ross turns to Keith Lee and says, "You're a big mother f***. Yes, Merry Christmas, TBS." So Swerve, he is such a good talker. He has this amazing, cool charisma. I really wish I was as cool as him. He cut a good promo on Keith Lee, but he told Keith Lee that he needed to have eyes in the back of his head. This did not cause Keith Lee to turn around. Has Keith Lee never watched wrestling before? He ended up being attacked by Parker Bordeaux. If you don't remember who Parker Bordeaux is, he was in the Trustbusters. If you don't remember who Parker Bordeaux is, and you also don't remember who the Trustbusters are. He is the guy that was in WWE developmental that thought he looked like Brock Lesnar. So he attacked Lee, Swerve came down the ramp, and then we saw this guy that we have never seen before, who was absolutely covered in tattoos, who also got in on it. So Rick Ross, Swerve, Parker Bordeaux, tattooed guy, all had these shirts saying the Mogul affiliates, so it looks like another new faction is coming to AEW. Merry Christmas again. And overall, I thought this segment was pretty messy. There was a lot of, Rick Ross isn't used to doing, wrestling promos. You could definitely tell. We had Bordeaux and the other guy in there completely green. So it was messy. It was bizarre, but it might have crossed that threshold where it was so bad that I didn't actually hate it. I kind of got a kick out of it. So if you're wondering who Tattooed Man was, of course, Sean Ross Sapp has the scoop. His name is Grandin Goatsman, which I probably said completely wrong. He is a former baseball player who has been training with Jay Lethal in between trips to the tattoo parlor. So yeah, I think that, obviously there's going to be the complaint. AEW, another new faction, another new person. I think if anyone would make a really good faction leader, though, it is Swerve. So I'm not too bothered by the fact that we're getting a new faction. Maybe I would have picked different secondary members. And finally, in our main event, it was AEW Women's Champion Jamie Hayter defeating Hikaru Shida. This match was awesome. It was really cool to see the women get the main event spot. That is very rare. And I think that Jamie Hayter definitely deserves it because she's built herself up so well. She's had an incredible 2022. And Hikaru Shida also does, for being that great champion during the pandemic that really never got her flowers properly. The crowd were so into this. It was so hard hitting and fast paced. They really never had any moments where the match lagged. They were really just keeping your attention. I thought that Jamie did some great facials every time Shida kicked out. And it was one of those matches where the outcome might seem so obvious, they're not going to take the title off Jamie Hayter yet, but the way Hayter was selling during the match, the way she was selling kind of her own fear that Shida could beat her, really made you and the crowd just get that little bit of doubt of maybe like a Christmas miracle could happen here. But Hayter ended up winning with the Hayterade. Afterwards, we saw Britt Baker and Rebel attacking Hikaru Shida until Toni Storm came out to make the save. Then we had a big brawl between all the ladies, and then who else should come out but Saraya? Of course, Saraya has this match on January the 11th, her and a mystery partner against Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter. So who's the mystery partner going to be? Is it Toni Storm? I would hope for AEW's sake it's not, because I think a lot of fans might be expecting someone else. But yeah, overall, really enjoyed this Dynamite so much. I think that something really has changed after Full Gear. It feels like we're getting more, I don't want to say consistency, but they're doing more follow-up things that we didn't really see before with AEW, and that could be criticism. Starks and Action Andrade being the main examples on this show. It feels like there's some new big players emerging, and that's really, really cool, bringing this into the new year. Tony Khan has also said that we will get a whole new look Dynamite in the new year too, so that's really, really exciting because I think the show is long overdue. A bit of a relift, a bit of a refresh, a facelift, if you will. So yeah, another awesome show. And there was announced that on Rampage, I know I don't do reviews of Rampage, but there is $300,000 up for grabs. It is the $300,000 Three Kings Christmas Casino Trios Battle Royal. So next time on Dynamite, some team of three is going to be $300,000 richer. I wish I could enter if I had two friends. As for what I was the biggest fan of on the show, I am going to give it to Chris Jericho and Ricky Starks because I loved this segment, and I think they both played equal parts in really getting Ricky Starks over. As I said, Ricky got those great zinger lines in. He is so good on the microphone, but then you had the way that Jericho sold them. I even love the fact that he mentioned that Ricky Starks wasn't a cut rate or like a dollar store version of anyone, because a criticism of the MJF promo a couple of weeks ago was that he called him like a cut rate version of The Rock. And even though Ricky got so much back at MJF in that promo, it was one of those things, should you really be putting that out there? I don't know. So it felt like a mistake that Jericho was correcting or like wanting to correct. So I thought that was really cool, and I just thought the whole segment rocked, and it is so cool to see Ricky Starks, you know, finally getting to rise up the pecking order in AEW. So congratulations, Ricky Starks and Chris Jericho. I'm the biggest fan of you this week. And once again, don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, which are all at Stephanie M. Chase, and check out my Patreon linked below if you would like to help me and support this channel. And I hope that you all have happy holidays and really enjoy your time over this festive period. Eat lots, get lots of presents, and spend time with the people you love, like me and Daryl. That is all from me, and I will see you next time. Bye!